People, welcome along to Aston Villa from the stands. I hope you're well. We're live today for another transfer news stories to break out all things Aston Villa. Make sure you smash a like on the stream right now. Run up those likes for me. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And of course, get that notification bell. But as I always say, my most favorite thing, most important thing is get in the comment section. Whether it's live or on replay, I want to hear your thoughts, your feelings. As we have some more news. And of course, this is my first live since Sunday's disaster. Yeah, Sunday's disaster. It hit hard. Monday was tough, but obviously we've sort of regathered, and now the transfer news and stories are flying out the block, as you would expect. So big up to everyone, and let me know how you're all feeling and doing as well. Look, let's talk about what we're going to cover today. Ferran Torres and Emanuel Emegha, two stars that Villa are looking at to target as their forward options, potential number nines again, with Ollie Watkins already seen as a potential departure this summer. We've also got Leeds United still very keen on Emi Buendia. Bayer Leverkusen do not want Emi Buendia now on a permanent. So we're going to talk about the Emi Buendia situation after having such a good season with them. Kosta Nedeljkovic, there is a clock on him. Will he go to RB for 10.5 million euros is the estimated fee, or will they choose not to get him on a permanent? And there's a few other stories that we're going to cover today, but there is a lot to chat about, people. So yeah, brace yourselves. As I said, lock in, make sure you're smashing that like button, get in the comment section and let me know how you're all doing and feeling, because yeah, it is an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Let's get into the forward options, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, where everyone is from. Yeah, we love transfers. It is a big season ahead. And I think someone put it in the chat earlier, actually. Aston Villa must have a better summer transfer window than what we did last summer. I want to put that on record again. I'll probably bang on about this a lot because it's going to be quite salty in my mouth. Aston Villa failed last summer. If you actually had to rank our transfer window last summer, I'd give it a 3 or 4 out of 10. It cost us the first half of our season. It cost us potentially Champions League football. We had to use our emergency January in where we had to get Malen, Rashford, Asensio, Desarcy on loan to bail ourselves out, to save ourselves in a way. And look, this is why this summer is important. I think we need to get more quality. And have a look at our depth overall. So, look, there's a lot to discuss with that. And also, you know, the thing that sort of always scares and worries me about Aston Villa and transfers right now is the Saudi Arabia links. You know, they're not going away. We've still got Saudi Pro League clubs lingering over Emi Martinez. There's been a little bit of whispers today about Yuri Tillemans being favourite as a Saudi option again. And you've got, you know, some other bits and bobs, Luca Dean as well. The one thing I must say about the Saudi Pro League is, though, potentially pray for its collapse. Look, Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't know who want it to collapse, to be honest. It's a twofold, really. Saudi comes and sort of bails your club out when you financially need them to. But in the other sort of aspect and element of it, it's also one of those places where you lose your players to and you really don't want to. Look, Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Al Nassr may be the domino that collapses everything. We'll have to wait and see on that one. In terms of the Saudi Pro League, but let's just watch this space. You know, we saw the Chinese Super League a few seasons ago, probably a few years ago now. The Chinese Super League. Who can remember that? You had the likes of Hulk, Oscar from Chelsea go over, and a few players went and dabbled in the Chinese Super League. Then they put some salary wage caps on it, and next thing you knew, players left. The Saudi Pro League, is it going to go in the same direction as the Chinese Pro League? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But let's get into our striking options. Big up to everyone in the here chat tonight. Make sure you're smashing the like button. And as always, I'll be keeping my eye on the comments. And yeah, let's see what we're doing. But look, it's all about cooking in the transfer window. And let's go straight to the first story today, which is this one. Shared again by Tom Colomos, who, by the way, follows me on that, but is a sports journalist who covers Midlands football for the Mail Sport. Okay, so predominantly covers the Midlands. Tom has said, among the forwards that Aston Villa could target this summer, Unai Emery has always liked Ferran Torres, while 22-year-old Dutch striker Emanuel Emegha was also on Villa's long list for the number 9 role. Okay. 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 So this whole long list, it seems very apparent that Villa are on the hunt for a number 9. Now, I was going to mention this a bit later on the stream, but it sort of follows in. We've already had our first sort of here we go. We've already had our first sort of player over the line, and it is a forward, but it's a forward that basically is basically, not ready to start for Aston Villa. So last night, Fabrizio Romano had Aston Villa have agreed a deal to sign Zepequeno Redmond on a free transfer from Feyenoord. This is a young 18-year-old striker. Now, again, when you look at these sort of signings that Villa are picking up, it's a free transfer. So you think, well done, how we found a gem for £0. But you all know what I'm thinking when you see that. And don't lie to me. You know that signing right there is probably a PSR manoeuvre. It is probably a manoeuvre of, hey, we've just picked up someone for free. Let's try and make some money on him. Let's hope he turns good. So what are Villa going to do? Are they going to keep him in the first team squad? Or are Villa going to do a Villa, loan him out for a season, he does really well, and then we sell him on? But that is not the calibre of number 9 that we're looking for. However, if he stays in the Aston Villa squad and learns and becomes a shadow striker, then that's perfect. And I think that's the one thing Villa have basically missed over the last few years. We haven't been able to find a number 1 striker and a number 2 striker. You only need to go back to the Steven Gerrard days, where you had Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings. Both of them wanted to be the main number 9. It didn't work. Gerrard constantly rotating Ings, Watkins, Ings, Watkins, Ings, Watkins. Then we've gone with Watkins and Duran. And all of a sudden, Duran's surpassed expectation. Duran's excelled onto the scene. And John Duran, all of a sudden, is looking like, hey, I'm actually good enough to be the main 9. So are we looking for a second fiddle striker? Are we looking for that someone who's happy to learn the trade at 18, 19 years old, sit on the bench, learn the trade, and fire up from there? That's what I'm sort of trying to see from an Aston Villa perspective. So there's point 1 on that one. But yeah, let's go back to that then. So Ferran Torres is a striker who I think is a very interesting one. And I'll tell you why Ferran Torres interests the life out of me. I'll tell you why. And I'm going to put the story back up there. Big up to everyone in the chat. Keep running up those likes as well. We really appreciate it on here. And keep sharing the stream around as well. The reason why Ferran Torres interests me is because it's Barcelona. And Barcelona are not really in a financial stronghold. Barcelona constantly and consistently have to find a way to navigate transfer windows. And the one thing that Barcelona do like is a swap deal. I'm going to say that again. The one thing that Barcelona do like is a swap deal. Now, there have been these reports and rumours over the last few days about Emi Martinez's whereabouts. Emi Martinez, if you're unaware, was pictured in Barcelona, in Spain, coming through the airport. And people are like, oh my God, Emi to Barca. The reason why Emi went to Barca is because his agent, Jorge Mendes, was there. However, it's not to rule out that. Now, is there a situation where Villa and Barcelona do some sort of deal with the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, and in return we get Ferran Torres? If you're talking about a club in which Emi Martinez is looking for in Europe to win trophies, to be in the top end, then Barcelona is a great choice. So I do wonder if there is scope, and hear me out, people, that actually Ferran Torres is a lot more likely in a sort of swap deal situation and scenario. Now, in terms of Ferran Torres, if you remember, he came to Manchester City and it really didn't work out for him. But I think there's a really good player there in Ferran Torres that Villa will be very lucky to get their hands on. But it's the Dutch striker I like here. And have a look at these stats from Emanuel Emegha, catching my eye definitely. So he plays for Strasbourg in France. And he's 22 years old. Again, a young striker that we're looking at. Again, Villa seem to want to go down this younger style, this younger route of prospect. Long contract, expires in 2028. And is a Dutch international, although granted for the under-21, so yet to break into the Dutch first team. But have a look at some of these stats this season for Strasbourg. I think they're quite impressive, actually. And when I say this, this is where I'd say there are a lot of clubs looking at him as well. And I'll show you in Google in a second to prove that, where Chelsea have been linked to him. There's been another link as well, I think, to Newcastle were looking at him. But 34 possible games. He's had 27 appearances, 14 goals, 3 assists at 22 years old, played nearly 80% in the starting lineup. I think that's a good record. For a team like Strasbourg, who aren't a main hitter, I quite like that record. I quite like what we're seeing there in terms of the stats of a goal scorer. Now, everyone will keep telling me Villa crying out for a bagsman, a talisman. People will say that Ollie Watkins, not as clinical, not where he needs to be. And if you want to look at the trajectory of this player as well, look at his rise in price. Current market value is estimated to be around 20 million euros. Now, will be a lot cheaper than Ferran Torres. But look at that rise, people. Look at that rise here of where he was in 2022. 3 years later, even at Strasbourg, his value around then was around 8 million in 2023. Massive improvement in performance, massively regarded in Europe, and now he has getting the accolades of being linked to top Premier League sides. So I like him. I think it's absolutely worth a shout and a scout. And something, again, that Villa have to ask the question, would he be coming to Aston Villa as a second striker, or would he be coming to Aston Villa as the main man? Here we go. The annoying thing about this time of season to August, the BS rumours that too many fans fall for and they become gutted when it doesn't happen. Blame Villa's recruitment. That's true. Tammy is now available. Interesting. Personally, I wouldn't go back for Tammy Abraham. Let me know if you would. Let me know if you would in the chat. Let me know if you would want to see a return of Tammy Abraham. I personally think he's a little bit like what people criticise Ollie for. I think Tammy isn't comfortable finding the back of the net. I think he does miss big chances as well. And he hasn't really found that stride in Italy that I think he was hoping for. He's moved around, had a few moves here and there in Italy, and it's not quite worked out for him. But yeah, big up to everyone. Good evening to everyone. Make sure you smash the like button. Jim Reaper saying about Man U, which is absolutely true. Man U lost 1-0 again, but we can't touch them. Yeah, unbelievable. They lost to an Asian All-Stars team today. It just makes that result on Sunday very ill. World Cup next year, so players need to be in the spotlight, 100%. That's why moves are very important. Would we use Ferran as a striker or left winger? The rumours are as a number 9 is what we're looking for. This Redmond guy could be the next Thuram. Oh, it could be a Samata. Hopefully not. Hopefully not the latter. But yeah, as I said, if you want to look at the sort of prowess of Emmanuel, Chelsea, as I said, currently linked with him. And if I show you, all you need to do is go on Google and you'll see those stories there. Chelsea eyed pre-agreement deal for Emegha with partner club Strasbourg. That's the annoying thing as well, is that Strasbourg are Chelsea's partner club, so they've probably got first dibs on him. Chelsea have qualified for the Champions League as well, so that's going to be slightly more annoying as well. And potentially, once again, people, I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but when I keep telling you about missing out on Champions League football is going to impact our transfers, then do you know what? That's another example. Getting picked to the line on transfers is going to really frustrate me because of the lack of UCL. And on that note as well, about money, here was another little article to share with you. By not qualifying for the Champions League, Aston Villa will lose out on a minimum of 30 million in income, potentially rising upwards of 100 million, which would have helped to offset the current deficit in the club's finances. Look, it's really, this is why, people have put a lot of perspective on qualifying for Europe 3 seasons in a row. People have put a lot of perspective on, how well we're doing under Unai, blah, blah, blah. And all I can keep thinking about is the financial side of things. And until people really, really tune in and really take note and maybe stop their happy tinted glasses about what it meant to miss out on UCL, is this financial situation. Financially, it's hurt us. It's set us back another year or two on our plan, should I say. It really has set us back in that element. So look, I found that article very interesting to see that again, that 30 to 100 million lost out because of that performance, because of not qualifying for Champions League, because of that referee, because of some of the big moments this season. It hurts. So yeah, so that's the striking options. As I said, that Ollie Watkins, I think I was convinced Ollie would stay, But the more I look at it, Ollie Watkins for me is probably someone who are going to lose. And this is what Jacob Tanswell put out yesterday about the players who are looking to leave. Okay. Emi Martinez, Leon Bailey, Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, and Ollie Watkins all have suitors where there is interest in Morgan Rogers. Now, when you see that word, all have suitors, you know what that's basically saying, don't you? You know what that's basically saying. Villa have got players who can bring in money to close the revenue and to close the gap, and clubs are willing to buy them. Now, out of that list there, chat, just a quick one for the chat. Emi, Leon, Kamara, Ramsey, and Ollie. If you had to name 2 players you would absolutely do anything not to lose, and let's put Rodgers in there as well, who would your 2 be? Out of all those players there, who are 2 players, include Morgan Rogers and that, so Emi Martinez, Leon Bailey, Kamara, Ramsey, Watkins, and Rodgers, who are 2 players you wouldn't want to lose. I'm going to tell you now, mine would be Emi Martinez and Morgan Rogers. That's who I would say are my 2. The goalkeeper and Morgan Rogers. I feel like I can live without Kamara. I feel like Kamara is replaceable. But yeah, that's the situation right there. Let me know in the chat. Rogers and Kamara says Pete. Love it. Trust in Emery. We just need together to get rid of the deadwood. Then Donkey, Courtney Hawes, Coutinho, Buendia, Moreno. It's not, yeah, and I completely agree, Rocco. But I wish it was as easy as that. We've made sponsorship deals with the likes of Red Bull and Coca-Cola that will almost eradicate the deficit. What you need to realise with that, though, Michael, is the financial year in which those become active. It's not good for the short term right now. And that's where Villa's problems are, the short term. In the longer term, that's going to be absolutely fantastic. But it's not going to help our books right now. And you'll see that when the values come out. As we kept saying, with PSR situations, selling Dougie, selling Diaby, selling Duran, why are we still in this PSR mess? There's a lag and delay on financial years. So, yeah, it's not great. Not all transfers be a success. Champions League football clubs will spend more, but doesn't guarantee its success. Premier League isn't for everyone. That's very true. But yeah, it's great. And listen, Chris Heck's done a phenomenal job, which people are sleeping on. I think people are forgetting how much work. I think people are forgetting the work that Chris Heck's actually done in terms of getting those people in. But yeah, I think that's a killer. I think that. But look, you guys can have opinions. As I said, the journalists, it's not me who puts up the panic or panics. You've got to read what the journalists are telling you. You've got to read what's coming out of the club about the difference from not making Champions League football and making it. Where we are with PSR, where we are. I think we like to live in this happy, bubbly rainbow world that everything's going to be okay. But I honestly sometimes think that we're sleeping on sometimes the thing. And the biggest thing that comes to mind is our wage bill. 90% of our revenue is on wages. It's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. And that's why I think we're going to have to try a different tack with these younger players. That's why you're going to have to take, the absolute idea and approach with these younger players that we put on the smaller contracts. But let's wait and see what happens. It's all, as a lot of people said, it is all rumours. It is all a little bit higgledy-piggledy, and you can there. But those are the players that Jacob Tanswell, as I said, has listed as players who will go. So let's go into the sort of situation with Kosta Nedeljkovic before we touch on Emi Buendia. So Kosta, for me, was an absolute car crash. Michael's saying it's not 90%. Well, I think if you read the reports about what UEFA have put, it's saying we're on 90%. I think 100%. I don't know if anyone else can back me up in the chat here, but I don't think I've put that figure out of nowhere. I think Villa's revenue is of what wages is 90%. Am I right in thinking that, chat? But yeah, that for me was at 90%. and we basically are going to get sanctioned by UEFA if we don't lower that. I think they've changed the rules now, UEFA. You've got to take it 70% now. Kosta Nedeljkovic. The failure that is Kosta Nedeljkovic. This is an absolute disaster class in some aspects. Villa, before I go into this, Villa and Matty Cash. 1 minute Cash is the hero, next he's the villain. And he keeps alternating. He does that amazing block against Bournemouth. He does that amazing block against Bournemouth, and then he does what he does at Old Trafford, and then, he's had his comments. There's just this thing with Cash, and I think every Villa fan, if you put a gun to my head and said the one position Villa need to upgrade massively and find an answer to, I'm telling you right back. I'm screaming at you right back. Right back is an issue. And we need to upgrade. And we thought we'd found the answer in Kosta Nedeljkovic. What on earth happened here? Someone that we bought, loaned straight back to his parent club, bought him in, doesn't get a look in at all in the Premier League properly, doesn't get a look in with Unai Emery. It's madness. RB Leipzig are taking time deciding whether or not to buy Kosta Nedeljkovic. The option to buy of 10.5 million euros is valid until June. A permanent deal is still possible. RB are big fans of him. He feels very comfortable, but everything is still open. Look, I can't actually remember how much we signed Kosta Nedeljkovic for. If anyone can remember in the chat, let me know. But clearly, he's not part of Unai Emery's plans. Clearly, it's not like an Enzo Baranchea situation where he's gone on loan, he's done well, and Unai's going, look, I want to have another look at him. But why are RB taking their time? You either want the man or you don't. And 10.5 mil. Well, that's going to help towards PSR. Bozzy said we've got him for 6-7 million. Okay, so a little bit of profit on that. But, every little sell like that, if a player is not going to be used and a player is not at our disposal and he's someone that we genuinely have no plans or options for, then why are we keeping hold of them? We need to get rid. And Kosta Nedeljkovic seems one of them. We've got to hold on to the fact that basically we can't have any more deadwood, and Kosta seems deadwood. So RB Leipzig, do what you need to do. If you want him, then take him and pay us the goddamn money. Pay us the fee, and let's get one of those players off our books. And that's the way I see it. As cynical as it is, we might have hope in a Kosta Nedeljkovic revival. A lot of us liked him. But yeah, it didn't happen. So let's go into the Emi Buendia situation. And by the way, 2023, our wages were 89.2%. That's massive. 90%. It's massive. Every team is targeted to the right side where Matt Cash plays because every team knows how bad he is. And that's where we should have strengthened, and we haven't. We actually thought we strengthened with Axel Disasi, and we saw what disastrous class that was with Man City away and PSG away. So yeah, right back this season. If we go into the season with Matty Cash being our number one right back, my cheeks are puffing. If honestly, it would scare me if Cash is our right back going into next season. Really would. Sell him, put a good clause in him. But yeah, let's have a look. So the Buendia situation. Okay, so if you remember, in January, we put Emi Buendia on loan to Bayer Leverkusen from Aston Villa with salary covered, which is the good part, that with salaries covered. Buy option clause not mandatory, worth around 20. And that's the annoying thing we didn't do. That's the annoying thing. Because he actually went and had a good season. But we didn't put a buy option clause on Buendia. And once again, when I look at these situations with your Coutinhos, with your Dendonkas, with your Buendias, Morenos, what are we doing? Why have we not done enough of that? 17 million, 20 million. Are we going to get him? Are we going to get rid of him? It's hard to know. So look, Bayer Leverkusen, the report has come out is Bayer Leverkusen are not going back in for Emi Buendia. I saw the article yesterday. I now can't find it, which is really frustrating. But look, why did we not put a mandatory option? That's all I've got to say. Why did we not put a mandatory option on Emi Buendia? But one club that always has been, come on, I hope Chelsea lose, by the way. That's big news. That's big news. That is big news. Leeds United still like Emi Buendia. Leeds have been linked with Emi for a while. Now, I think this has more scope now they're in the Premier League because Emi Buendia was linked to Leeds United when they were in the Championship, and a potential return to the Championship would have been an interesting one. But I actually think if we deepen the quality of Buendia, Buendia's too good for the Championship, right? There is this whole thing right now for me that Buendia is too good to be playing in the Championship, and he proved his worth by playing for the German side Bayer Leverkusen, doing well. Now Leeds are in the Premier League. I think it's a good match. I think it's a good possibility, and I think it's somewhere that he should probably look to go. And again, it helps Villa if we clear a player like Buendia and say, hey, thanks for your time. It hasn't worked out. We're going to lose money on Buendia. Remember, we paid around 30 million. If we can get 20 million for him, then there we go. There we go. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. What do you think? Is there a is there a sort of idea in anyone's head that Buendia stays? Is there a world in which Buendia plays for Villa in your eyes? Just players on holiday, there's loads of time, settle down, we'll be fine. Look, I get that, but I'm telling you now, the goalkeeper situation needs to be sorted out. Because I'll remind you, June the 30th, Villa would have sold a big star. Please make sure we have someone lined up. And you say that, the really key thing to remember is this. Okay, the key thing, deals get done way in advance. Look at the Joan Garcia situation. We went from looking like we were going to sign him to now basically losing out on him, and we're going to have to go for another keeper, the French one, Chevalier, because Garcia's got suitors from Newcastle, City, Barcelona, and he's going for a Champions League side. You know, it's that sort of thing, again, that absolutely winds me up, that, again, we don't have that Champions League pool this season, because I believe we could have signed anyone we wanted with our Champions League pool. I'm not joking. I'm not bantering. I'm saying this really, really straight up. I think Villa could pull or attract anyone they wanted to this season if we had Champions League football because of Unai Emery's consistency of showing that we're there at the right level. So it is different. It is different. But here is one link that comes up. This is like the bloody João Felix link. And again, you're going to hear a lot of crap talk. Following his return from injury in April, Aston Villa have renewed their interest in signing Pedro Goncalves from Sporting. This guy's a proper baller. I wanted this guy to come for Villa for 2-3 seasons. If he comes, we've made it. But I think it's just another fairy tale sort of rumour. There we go. But look, transfer season is great. You have all these rumours. You're going to have to act to move fast. The best teams do the business early. And Villa, as I said, it's both ways now for Villa. It's both ways. And what I mean by both ways is we need to get our outs and we need to get our ins. We need to sort out those outgoings. As people have said in the chat, your Coutinho's, terminate his contract. Terminate his contract. We need to get rid of Kosta Nedeljkovic, Buendia, Dendoncker, Moreno. That's just players who were on loan or not even with us. And then we've got to look in the squad who plays with us. Who are we going to make money from? Who's the best value for PSR? Still think Jacob Ramsey is the one that we're going to bite the bullet on. I'm absolutely convinced that Jacob Ramsey is leaving Villa this summer. Anyone else in the chat with me on this one? That Jacob Ramsey leaves. So how do you explain? Well, that one's not necessarily. There's still some issues with that deal, which is quite funny. This could be the biggest Man United thing ever. So how do you explain Cunha to Man United, Josh? No European at football at all. Man United have still got a crazy pool. They still can spend whatever money they want because they've not got any PSR restrictions. Basically, watch this deal potentially collapse because Ruben Amorim basically hinted that it's not quite done yet, and it hasn't had the official. And this will be nuts, right? This summer could be the year in which Fabrizio Romano fails because he's been close to getting a few wrong. If Cunha does not go to Man U and that one absolutely dies, then that would be a big L for them lot, the independent ones. It's not always about Champions League football. Well, that's what I've been getting told it is. It's not about trophies, it's about Champions League. But yeah, no, I'm just winding up. But it basically Champions League football is the pool for any player. I'm sorry, look at Rashford. Rashford basically painted it in black and white to us. If you get Champions League football, I'll sign for you. If you don't, I'm not interested. Cheers, Rash. Make that really clear. Kamara, I want to be playing in the Champions League. Well, Villa aren't in there, so are you going to sign the thing, Kamara, or are you leaving us? What are you doing out here? That's what I mean. That's what I mean. These players come out and sort of say, "Hey, I found my level, and now we've got it." And that's the thing. We've given lots of players a platform, and that's probably the frustrating thing about Villa is that we've given Emi Martinez a platform. We gave him that chance. Boubacar Kamara, no one had heard of him until he came to us. You look at the likes of Rashford, we've got his career going again. That's just 3 players without even deep in it. Yuri Tillemans got relegated from Leicester City, and we gave him another go. There's lots of players where we revived, but when they've had a taste of the glory of Champions League, and there's more money, and sometimes it's hard. But look, Unai Emery, of course, he has pulling power. Of course, so does Monchi. But I'll say it again: there will be some people, there'll be some players, there'll be some agents who will be looking at it, going, "What is it with that? What is it with that Villa side? What is it with that Villa side? Why didn't they get Champions League football again this year? Why did they not beat Crystal Palace in a semi-final?" Those sort of questions may be asked by players or looked at. And that's what I worry about. I don't want Villa to gain a reputation of being nearly man or could have been man or close man. And the same with Unai. I want us to be known as the men who get the job done, the men with the killer instinct, the men who are going to actually win things. So I hope this window is absolutely what we dream of, much better than last summer, but we're going to have to wait. But I'm going to wrap up in a minute. This is the Aston Villa transfer news. And as I said, we're going to try and do daily, whether you're going to get daily content, whether it's going to be lives or a pre-recorded video. So there you go. Right, but listen, Real Betis beating Chelsea has absolutely put a smile on my face. Things you love to hear, things you want to hear. Come on, Real Betis. Well, I hope Anthony was involved in it. But yeah, we'll be giving the real talk. And look, there are, as I said, I love that on YouTube that you get so many different types of Villa content creators. You all do different stuff in their wonderful and weird way. And I think for me, I can only call how I feel. I'm not gonna try and fit a narrative. I'm not gonna try and be the happy clapper or the pleaser all the time. I think sometimes it's right to call out when things aren't right. But yeah, it's stressful. It's stressful as I'm sure Villa means everything to everyone. And all I want to see is my club win something. I want to see my club win something, and I want to see us be at the helm of where we should be, because I know how big we are. And as I said, I've never seen my club lift a trophy, and I feel that we're so close, but sometimes it feels so far. So yeah, we've got to keep those standards. We've got to keep those expectations. We've got to call it bad when it's bad. That Man United performance, there is no positives for that. You can't sit back and ever find a positive from that. But yeah, there has to be that good grounded perspective, and I think I try and fall in the middle. I'm not a happy clapper, and I'm not Mr. Negative. I think I'm in the middle because I can get sucked away with the happy as well. I can get sucked away with the happy. I can get pulled along on this beautiful journey. Sometimes, Perth, dog's gone mad for some reason. Correction, this is a transfer speculation show. I think every transfer, I don't know, which game has? We must have an intruder. But there we go. It's paid. All right, give me a sec. But yeah, the transfer speculation show. Oh yeah, every no transfer is a transfer until it goes through. That's a fact. That is a fact. No transfer is a transfer until it's official from the club's Twitter account or website. But yeah, if you don't like speculation shows, this is what we're going to be doing. And I'm taking the stories online. I'm looking at them. I'm sharing with them people, and then we're talking about them. And I quite enjoy doing that. I quite enjoy seeing the chat's vibe. I like seeing the chat's vibe of basically saying, "Do you enjoy this? Do you like this? Do you think this is a good one?" Some of you go, "No, that's a crap player, Josh. No, that's not going to happen." Some of you are like, "Yeah, I like it." Transfer speculation is absolute quality. So there we go. Big up to Ken M as well for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, here, Ken M, legend, always supporting the channel. My guy, Ken M, you're an absolute legend. When you're standing in the Besquite Stadium next May, watching Villa Europa League final, thank me later. Kevin, I like the manifestation. You please manifest that all season, my friend. We just got to avoid just don't tell me we're playing Crystal Palace in the final, because that will make me ill. Don't tell me we're playing Crystal Palace in the final. All right, and people, I'm going to wrap up for today's transfer speculation show, if you want to call it that. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure you smash a like on the way out. Of course, as well, turn your notification bell on, people. I'm seeing a rise in people turn their notification bell on. I've got the stats and numbers. I'm aiming to get to 1,000 people. We're about 150 of you off. So if you haven't already, go on your phone or your device, or wherever you're watching, check your bells on, turn it on so you never miss an upload for these live shows or the pre-records that we're doing. And yeah, as always, very grateful for your support. Get behind Real Betis now. Cheer on Real Betis in the final. And we'll be back tomorrow for some form of content, whether it's a video, a live, or maybe even both. But I'll be there. And I'm sure you will be as well. Big up to all of you lot. Massive shout out to everyone in the chat, all your comments, or if you've just been a silent listener as well, I can hear you as well. I'm out of here, people. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da.